Hey everyone, it's Lexie. So in today's video I'll be sharing with you all the books that I plan on reading in the month of April. So April is going to be an exciting month. So for the first time since COVID, I get my family from Canada ever since we moved to the States has always come for Easter, so this will be their first time coming back since COVID, so that is something to look forward to. But other than that, I do plan to get a lot of reading done this month. I have a lot of books here that I'm excited about, a new release as well. So yeah, without further ado, let's get started. So starting out, this is a new release, and this weekend I'm actually going to go to my local bookstore and pick it up. I am filming a week in the life vlog, so keep your eyes peeled for that. I do go to a few bookstores, so you can go check that out. It'll be out later this month. But the new release is one that I'm super excited about. It's one of my most anticipated reads of the year, and it is The Diamond Eye by Kate Quinn. And this is one of those auto-buy authors, and ones that, like, an author that I know so well that I don't really want to know too much about this book or a synopsis at all. So I remember I think it's briefly involving World War II with some sort of like Russian spy or something. Do not quote me on that because, like I said, I'm not 100% sure, but if you are interested in knowing the synopsis, you can Google it yourself. I just want to keep myself out of not really knowing too much and just kind of dive right in. But Kate Quinn is a historical fiction author, and her books mainly focus around World War II. So I'm really excited about this. I've loved all her other previous work, so I cannot wait to dive into this one. And what is unique too is that because her books take place around the same time within the same, world, you get some kind of crossover with some of the characters. So one of the characters probably will make an appearance that's been in some of the previous books, so I'll have to make sure I keep my eyes peeled for that. But nevertheless, despite not knowing too much about this book, I'm still really excited to pick it up, and I cannot wait to finally have a physical copy of it. So next up, continuing on with my Rizzolian Isles series reread. So in preparation for the new book that is coming out in July, which is going to be here before we know it, I'm going to read 2 books every month until that new book comes out, because it's been over 12 years since I read these initially. I read them first when I was 15, and so I cannot wait to, eventually read the new one. And for these with the rereads, it's been like reading them for the first time because it has been so long. There are bits and pieces that I remember from some of these books, but for the most part it's like reading them for the first time. So for over the month of April, the 2 books that I have to read are The Keepsake and Ice Cold. I'm currently about halfway through The Keepsake right now, and I'm really liking it so far. So it starts out that there is this mummy that is found in the basement of one of the museums in Boston, and when they're running a CT scan to just get a visualization of the person within who is the mummy, they realize that there is this artifact that is very modern. She has basically a bullet lodged in her leg, and so despite thinking this mummy was over 2,000 years old, it ends up being something more recent. And so this ends up leading to a serial killer that has some sort of archaeological connection with what he's doing to his victims. So this one has been a lot of fun. I've learned so much, even though, like I said, I read this like 12 years ago. I'm like learning all these facts about mummies, which has made it a lot of fun. So far, like I said, I'm about halfway through, and I'm really liking this one so far. And the next one is Ice Cold. From what I remember about this is that Dr. Mara Isles is coming home from a ski trip, and there ends up being this total whiteout, and she cannot get home safely. So they find kind of where they are traversing through the snow, they find this abandoned town that used to be somehow related to a cult, and it kind of ties in with the murder that is going on, that is happening there, from what I remember. I remember this one, there's like one scene in particular that me and my sister always talk about, because even to this day, even though we don't really remember too much about the storylines in these ones, we distinctly remember this one part where they're like sleeping in the cabin and they wake up and in the snow they can see footprints of someone having like looked in the window when they were sleeping, and that like just creeped me out. And me and my sister, who both read this series, like we distinctly remember that. So yeah, I've been really enjoying these rereads so far. Like I said, I feel like I'm enjoying them more now as an adult because I do pick up on some things that I didn't when I was 15, and I do have more medical understanding and terminology known, so I can kind of follow along with a lot of the autopsy things. But yeah, this reread has been a lot of fun. It's been a long time coming. For many years now I've been wanting to reread this series, but now I'm happy that I finally have. And if you're looking for like kind of one of those classic crime series, I think this is a good one to start out with. Next up is another crime series book that I'm hoping to get to. This was on the last two books here that I'm going to be talking about were on last month's TBR, and I just didn't get around to reading them, but I definitely want to kind of check them off my TBR list for this month. The first one being Gated Prey by Goldberg. This is the third book, in the Eve Ronan series. Again, with crime series, like novels, specifically those that are in a series, I don't really like knowing too much about the synopsis so for this one in particular, I do not know the synopsis, but the general kind of I don't want to be repetitive, but the general synopsis of this series is that it follows Eve Ronan, who is the youngest woman homicide detective in LAPD history, and how she ended up getting that position is that she ended up being in a viral video where she was arresting a celebrity who was involved in some domestic violence with his girlfriend, and so that led her to become this huge kind of face for the LAPD, and she used that as leverage to get into the homicide department. And so she still feels like she has a lot to prove. And so what I remember about these books is that they're incredibly fast-paced. I think I read the first book in like a day. That's how incredibly fast-paced they are. They're also on the shorter end too. Like I think this is, yeah, it's not even 250 pages, but they're just incredibly fast-paced. I just really love Eve as a character. I think she's really compelling and interesting and dynamic, and just because she has so much to prove, she's very ambitious, and I really like reading from that. So yeah, this is a newer crime series, so if you're looking for a new crime series that's a little bit different from a lot of the formulaic classic crime series that is a little bit more recent and only has a few books out, I feel like this would be a good series to start out with. And lastly, this is a book that I think basically since January, this has been on my TBR, and I really want to get to it this month because I've been telling my boyfriend that I'm gonna get to it. And I feel like I really need to now because he got me this for Christmas, or for my birthday, and it is Titus, Groan by Mervyn, Peake. And this is a book that I've heard some Sunbeam's Jess talk about on her channel. The second book in particular was one of her top books of 2021. But this is kind of like a gothic classical fantasy series, which opens up with Titus, who has just been born, and he is heir to one of the lords, and he stands to inherit the miles of rambling stone and mortar that form Castle Gormenghast. And so like there's all these other things going on, and I'm really interested in this. My boyfriend said that this is kind of very classic fantasy, and judging by how much Sunbeam's Jess enjoyed the second one, I think this one will be really interesting. I haven't read a lot of like the OG fantasy that has been out for like many decades, so he's slowly but surely introducing me to a few as we've been together. So like I said, I'm really excited, and I hopefully will be able to finally pick this one up this month. Fingers crossed. So that's it, guys. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Let me know in the comments below what some of the books you would like to get to this month and all of that fun stuff. So yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. Don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, and I will see you guys next time. Bye, guys.